You've likely felt that strange moment when someone looks at you a bit longer than usual and smiles in a personal way. They say something playful that stays in your mind for hours. For a second, you feel something shift inside you. You feel seen. But then the question arises that quietly ruins it all. What did that mean? Was it real or just a game? Most people don't trust flirting anymore. It's confusing and sometimes even feels manipulative. One moment it lifts you up, and the next moment it vanishes like it never happened. What's left is not excitement, but doubt. You start to wonder if you imagined it, if you overanalyzed the situation, if maybe you just wanted it to be something more. But what if the issue isn't flirting itself? What if the real problem is that we were never taught what it actually is? Somewhere along the way, flirting got reduced to something superficial, something cheap, something that only exists to lead to more. But that's not the whole story. Flirting is much deeper than that. It's not just about attraction. It's about recognition. It's about that rare moment when another person reflects something back to you that you've forgotten about yourself. That's why it feels so powerful and also so dangerous. When you're not used to feeling seen, even a small moment of attention can feel like everything. And that's where things get complicated. You don't just experience the moment. You attach meaning to it. You build a story around it. Maybe they like me. Maybe this is going somewhere. Maybe this is finally different. Without realizing it, you've already gone further emotionally than the moment itself. This is where the first quiet truth lies. Flirting doesn't just happen between two people. It happens between your reality and your expectations. Most of the time, those two are not aligned. The human mind is wired in a specific way. When something makes you feel good, you want to hold on to it. You want to extend it, deepen it, and turn it into something permanent. But flirting isn't meant to be permanent. It's meant to be a spark. And sparks don't last forever. That doesn't make them fake. It just means they have a different purpose. But we rarely accept that. Instead, we turn a moment into a promise. When that promise isn't fulfilled, it feels like rejection, even if no promise was ever made. Think about the last time someone gave you just enough attention to make you feel special, but not enough to make anything real. It probably lingered in your mind longer than it should have. Not because of what actually happened, but because of what it could have been. That what if is where most of the pain resides. And it reveals something deeper about us. We are not just looking for connection. We are looking for confirmation. Confirmation that we matter, that we are attractive, that we are wanted. Flirting taps directly into that need. It doesn't force it. It doesn't demand it. It gently touches it and then steps away. That's why it feels so intense. Because it gives you a glimpse without a guarantee. And your mind tries to fill in the rest. Here's where things get even more interesting. Not all flirting is the same. Some of it comes from insecurity. Some of it comes from ego. Some of it comes from loneliness. But there is another kind, a much quieter kind, that most people don't understand. The kind that isn't trying to take anything from you. The kind that isn't trying to lead you anywhere. The kind that exists simply to give. To give a moment of attention. To give a sense of possibility. To remind you, even briefly, that something about you stands out. This kind of flirting doesn't leave you confused. It leaves you lighter. But to recognize it, you first need to understand something about yourself. You have to see how much of your self-worth is tied to how others respond to you. If your sense of value depends on someone else's attention, then every interaction becomes heavy. Every smile feels like a signal. Every silence feels like rejection. And flirting becomes dangerous. Not because of what it is, but because of what it awakens in you. There's a quiet pattern that plays out in many lives. Someone gives you attention. You feel elevated. They pull back or stay neutral. Suddenly, you feel like you've lost something. But what did you actually lose? Not them. Not a relationship. Just a feeling. A feeling you didn't create on your own. That's where dependency starts. Now, you're not just enjoying moments. You're chasing them. And the more you chase, the more power you give away. But here's the shift most people never make. Flirting is not something you wait to receive. It's something you learn to understand and eventually express. Not as a strategy, not as a tool, but as a reflection of awareness. When you understand what makes someone feel seen, you begin to understand what makes you feel seen too. Suddenly, flirting becomes less about impressing and more about connecting. It becomes less about the outcome and more about the presence. Imagine this. You're talking to someone. Instead of trying to say the right thing, you simply notice something genuine about them. The way they think, the way they express something, the small details most people ignore. And you reflect that back honestly, without exaggeration or expectation. That's where real flirting begins. Not in performance, but in attention. And attention, when it's genuine, is rare. That's why it feels so valuable. But most people don't trust it. They've been conditioned to believe that attention always comes with a hidden agenda. Even when something is genuine, they question it. They protect themselves. They pull back. In doing so, they miss the very thing they were looking for. Connection. Connection requires a certain level of openness, a willingness to experience something without trying to control it. And that's difficult, especially if you've been hurt before. Once you associate attention with disappointment, your mind starts to protect you. It tells you not to get too invested, not to believe too quickly, not to feel too deeply. That protection keeps you safe. It also keeps you distant. Now you find yourself stuck in a quiet contradiction. You want to feel something real, but don't want to risk feeling anything painful. Flirting sits right in the middle of that tension. It invites you in without promising anything. That's why so many people misunderstand it. They either take it too seriously or not seriously enough. They either overinvest or completely shut down. But a balance exists. It starts with understanding the why. Why do you flirt? Not the surface answer. Not because it's fun, but the deeper reason. Is it to feel validated? To feel powerful? To escape loneliness? Or is it simply to share a moment of human connection? Your intention changes everything. If your intention is to take, it will feel heavy. If your intention is to give, it will feel light. People can sense that difference, even if they can't explain it. Now let's talk about the how. This is where most people either try too hard or don't try at all. They think flirting is about being clever, about saying something impressive, about creating attraction through performance. But real connection doesn't work that way. It's not about what you say. It's about what the other person feels in your presence. Do they feel judged or understood? Do they feel pressured or relaxed? Do they feel like they have to impress you or can simply be themselves? That's the real skill. It has nothing to do with lines or techniques. It has everything to do with awareness. Awareness of yourself and awareness of the other person. When you can hold both at the same time, something natural happens. You stop trying and you start noticing. When you notice, you respond. When you respond honestly, it creates something real, even if it lasts only a few seconds. That brings us to the final piece, the when. Timing matters more than people think. Not every moment is meant for connection. Not every person is open to it. Not every interaction needs to become something more. Sometimes the most meaningful moments are the ones that stay light, unforced, unfinished, and that's okay. Not everything valuable has to become permanent. Some things are meant to be experienced and then released, without turning them into expectations, without turning them into stories, just experienced. And maybe that's the hardest part, letting a moment be enough, because we've been taught to always look for more meaning, more depth, more outcome. But sometimes more is what ruins it. Sometimes the beauty of a moment lies in the fact that it doesn't need to become anything else. And when you start to see flirting that way, something changes. You stop fearing it. You stop overthinking it. You stop chasing it. And instead, you begin to understand it as a small, powerful human exchange. One that doesn't define your worth, but can remind you of it. And maybe that's the real purpose all along. Not to create attachment, but to create awareness. So the next time you feel that moment, that glance, that smile, that subtle connection, don't rush to define it. Don't rush to control it. Just notice it, feel it, and let it be what it is. Because sometimes the most meaningful connections are the ones that don't ask for anything more. And if this made you pause, even for a second, then you already understand more than most people do. Let me know what you think. Have you ever mistaken a moment for something more, or held back from something that felt real? Share it, because sometimes the things we don't say are the ones that connect us the most.